Exposition Prologue. The day before graduation. Yumino Iruka, whose second name was probably Iruka, but maybe not because the weebs enjoy putting their surnames first sometimes, meaning it's nigh impossible to find out which ones which unless they're part of a family, dropped a sheaf of papers down on his desk and raised an eyebrow at the person sat across from him. Care to explain what this is, Naruto? Naruto Uzumaki, whose first name was probably Naruto, was sat swinging his feet in the opposite chair and nodded confidently. Yup. That's my submission for last week's ninja history homework. Then why is it also a detailed manga of an impassioned love affair between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo? Iruka asked, turning the page around to show off one particularly steamy panel featuring two old men. Naruto grinned. He was annoyingly hard to be mad at when he got like this. The boy had the widest smile Iruka had ever seen, bright blonde hair, whisker marks on his cheeks, and an orange jacket that was about the least stealthy thing on the entire planet. It was difficult to think, looking at him, that Naruto could possibly do anything wrong, which would be a deadly assumption. Iruka knew this from over 5 years of teaching him. Naruto was a terror, and not for the reason a lot of the adults in the village thought he was. Poor kid. Doesn't deserve what crap, focus. Naruto, how did you even make this? Iruka gestured at it in disbelief. How do you even know who Shimura Danzo is? That man's existence is an A-rank secret. I tracked down this pale kid who's really good at drawing and asked him for help. Naruto shrugged. He seemed nice. He was the one who told me about the Danzo guy. Apparently, that's his boss. You found Sai? Iruka clarified, eyes widening. You found Sai and got him to spill root secrets? Sai works for a tree? Naruto Iruka cut off and sighed. That was Naruto, all right. On the one hand, utterly moronic. On the other, capable of things that would be difficult for even professional ninja. Naruto, he said, I know I told you this homework wasn't that significant. It will be, when the bookshops start selling it tomorrow morning. Naruto snickered. But that's only because your graduation exam is tomorrow. Iruka finished. Naruto blinked twice. Wait, the exam is tomorrow? Suddenly sat up. Wait, that's the graduation exam? Yes. Iruka threw his arms up. Naruto, have you not been studying? Maybe? So if I asked you to summarize what you should have put in your ninja history homework? I would have no idea, yeah. Naruto smiled. Iruka tilted his head. Naruto, what does Konoha mean? No clue. Answered the blonde. Also, why do we even use words in the old Warring States languages? So you know what the Warring States period was? Iruka tried, hopeful. No, not at all. Do you know what a chunin is? You're one of those. What's a Kekkei Genkai? That's a superhero? What's a ninja, Naruto? A badass who kicks butt with superpowers and dope fighting skills. Naruto answered, with complete confidence. It took a while for Iruka's mouth to close. Then he sat back down, pulled out a piece of paper, and, showcasing some of the supersonic speeds skilled ninja could reach, scrolled down a long list within a few seconds. Okay. He said. These are the subtopic headings of the basic theory a ninja needs to know. You read this, and you find out at least the summary of what all these things are, you understand? Ugh. Really? Naruto pulled the paper over, glancing at it. Shouldn't I just be practicing the D-rank techniques we gotta know? The exam has a theory section. It does? You've taken it twice already. Did you not do the written test? Iruka sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Naruto, you know this is serious, right? You're 12. It's your final year. If you fail this exam, you'll be held back a year, and all your classmates will graduate without you. Naruto looked down, his face going solemn. Why, yeah. I know. I'm trying, I don't know what all the other kids are doing. I mean, I try to mold the chakra and it just doesn't want to go. Then you need to focus. Iruka said, more gently this time. Under normal circumstances, Naruto's appalling chakra control would have had him diagnosed with a physical disorder and kicked from the academy, same as would have happened to Rock Lee, if Might Guy hadn't taken him on as a student. If not for that, his appalling grades would have led to the same result. Except, of course, that every adult in the village knew exactly what was wrong with Naruto, and they couldn't afford to leave him languishing alone in his flat on the outskirts of town. I'm busy this evening preparing for the test, Iruka continued, so you go to the library and get answers to those questions, okay? But the librarian hates me. Naruto pouted. Every adult in this village hates me. Naruto, they do. And most of the kids, too. There's like 4 people in this village that like me, and one of those is you. Well then, it sounds like you have 3 sources, doesn't it? Iruka pointed out. And if they're busy, go find Mizuki-sensei, he's on revision class duty. Mizuki-sensei would just teach me wrong on purpose. Naruto scowled and looked away. He's done it before. Iruka frowned. Naruto, he's a professional, I'm sure he don't lie to me, Iruka-sensei. Naruto said, quietly, not looking up. Iruka closed his mouth. Sighed. All right. Good luck, Naruto. Hey, I'll take you to ramen once you pass, all right? My treat. Oh, really? Naruto's grin was back. Hell yeah. Okay, I'll go now. See you, Iruka-sensei. Go get Naruto. Iruka said, chuckling, as the boy set off at a run out into the corridor. Amazing kid. The world takes everything from him, and he still manages to face the day with a smile. I just wish they'd let me tell him the truth. Shaking his head, Iruka sat down, and went back to preparing the exam. And that was more screen time than he would get in the entire ensuing story. Hinata Hyuuga, see in this case Hyuuga is an important family that's super story relevant, you'll get the hang of it, was on the verge of a major coronary event. Naruto, was in her home. How he'd gotten through the estate's many protective seals without triggering an alarm she had no idea, but he was here, and he was looking at her expectantly. Don't panic. Don't panic. This is a good opportunity. If we're useful, we can make him like us, and maybe if we make him like us he'll want to spend more time with us, and then maybe she shook her head to clear it, clapped her cheeks, and blinked owlishly at him with wide eyes. Sorry. Chakra? Yee. Naruto nodded, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. I just want a good way to summarize things, you know? I asked Sasuke the other day, but he just said the blue stuff, and I had to pretend it had been a joke, and he's kind of my only friend, so never mind, I can go now. Hinata shouted, making him jump, before coughing. Of course, I can help you with anything. Anything at all. Oh, nice. Naruto sat down, grinning at her in a way that set her cheeks on fire. So, chakra? Right. Hinata knelt, thinking. It was such a basic question, she was almost stumped on how to answer it. Well, chakra is a store of energy contained within the cells of all living things. Oh. Naruto nodded. Like, the Force? The Force? Yeah. From Star Wars. Or Magica from Skyrim? Sure. Note to self, watch Star Wars, watch Skyrim. Chakra is the power source ninja use to cast ninjutsu. We mold it, weaponize it, train to develop it. Yes. Ninjutsu. That. Naruto pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. Okay, so, ninjutsu is the superpowers, right? Right. Hinata nodded. Ninjutsu refers to all chakra-based techniques, but, typically it only means the elemental ones. Like Avatar? Naruto tilted his head. Well, there's 7 elements, in Avatar there's 4. Then not like that. Fire, water, earth, air, lightning, yin, and yang are the nature transformations. Those last 2 are light and dark. You have to master a nature transformation before you can use its techniques properly. Right, and then you can. Naruto made a set of fake hand signs. Yes. Most of the jutsu we're doing tomorrow are so simple they're barely even elemental at all. Okay, Naruto looked back at his list. Okay, I know taijutsu, that's fighting unarmed fighting techniques. Weapon techniques are kenjutsu. Totally knew that Naruto was hastily scribbling on the paper. But genjutsu? Illusions. Hinata said. Mind affecting, that sort of thing. Rarely a problem for me. There's also few in jutsu and they're not on the list. I don't care. Oh. Okay, cool, thanks, bye. Naruto jumped up, grinned, and was off. Wait. Hinata reached out after him, but he was already running, and it would have been too awkward to chase him down just to offer to help him. Damn it. No, it's fine. That was a positive interaction, right? Hinata sighed, and turned back to her empty house. Sasuke Uchiha, another important surname, that one, was running a taijutsu kata in his room when he heard a panicked yelp from downstairs. Paused. Ha! I thought he'd be here sooner. Sasuke. His big brother's voice called out. The midget's here. Unhand me, foul demon. Followed Naruto's much angrier and higher-pitched voice. Sasuke rolled his eyes, called, yeah, he can come in. Itachi, you don't have to catch him every time he sneaks into the house. The door opened, and a yellow and orange missile was flung through to land on the bed with another screech. If I don't, your father will, and he might not be so nice about it. Itachi, a spitting image of his younger brother's raven hair and sharp features, gave Sasuke a wink. Enjoy your date. It's not go fuck yourself. Sasuke rolled his eyes as the door closed, turned to where Naruto was disentangling himself from the sheets. And you? You don't have to break into my house every time you want to come over, asshole. Knock. Last time I tried knocking, your scary dad didn't let me in. Naruto huffed, sitting up. Relax, I'm getting better. He won't catch me next time. Sure. Sasuke chuckled. He knew full well that his brother, despite only being 5 years older than him at 17, was easily in the top 5 most powerful ninja in the village. Naruto wasn't getting past him for a long while. So? I take it you haven't come for a study session? Actually, Naruto pulled out and brandished a piece of paper. I have, in fact, come for that thing. You what? Sasuke gaped. When Naruto didn't immediately say psyche and laugh, he whistled. Well, shit, alright. You're actually taking this seriously. I take everything seriously, what do you mean? Naruto looked down at his paper, looked back up. What the heck is a clan? Sasuke barked out a short laugh. What really? A clan? Well, this says I need to know about the clans and their history, so, good place to start. How have you survived school for this long? Sasuke ran a hand through his hair. Okay, clans, in the context you mean, are just big families of ninja. Well, mostly big. Hinata's, alone too, yeah. Naruto looked down for a few seconds, before shaking his head and looking back up. But normally, big? Yeah. There's almost 100 Uchiha. My dad Fugaku is the clan head, which makes Itachi and me clan heirs. Sasuke smirked, more than a little proud of the fact. Konoha has a couple dozen clans, but the only ones that actually matter are the Uchiha, Hyuga, Sarutobi, Yamanaka, Akimichi, Aburame, Nara, maybe the Senju, but they're basically extinct. Okay, so I won't remember any of those. Naruto warned. I'll write you a list. Sasuke rolled his eyes. The Uzumaki used to be a big clan too, right? Wait, really? Naruto blinked. As in I have people? Sasuke's gut wrenched. Sorry. They were a clan from a big village allied with Konoha, but they got attacked in I think the Second Shinobi World War, got wiped out. Damn. Naruto bit his lip, looking away. Sorry, distracted today. No, it's fine, dude. Sasuke waved a hand. And hey, apparently there were a lot of refugees from that war. I mean, your parents must have made it to Konoha. Odds are you'll probably meet one someday, right? Naruto perked up at the idea. Yeah, totally. Odds are they'll be super evil and super strong and I'll have to fight them. Probably. Anyway, yeah, shinobi clans. And shinobi is just weeb speak for ninja, right? Please do not call it weeb speak. Yes. Neat. Naruto squinted at his paper. Final thing. What's the difference between a hidden jutsu and a kekkai genkai? Oh, that. Sasuke raised a finger. That part's fun. So, most clans have special techniques that only they know, and they don't teach it to outsiders. That's how Shikamaru can do that shadow puppet thing, and we can't learn it. And those are hidden jutsu? Yeah. But, some clans, mine, go one better. Because we could steal the scrolls to those hidden jutsu if we wanted to. But nobody is ever going to copy this. He screwed his eyes shut and focused. A few seconds passed. Naruto tilted his head. You okay? You look constipated. Sasuke opened his eyes and sighed. Ugh, kinda hoped that would work. I was trying to turn on the Sharingan. The what? Uchiha Kekkai Genkai, or Bloodline Limit. Basically, there are some powers that you can only use if you inherit them from your parents. Mine is the Sharingan. My eyes go red and swirly, and I can see faster. Naruto wrinkled his nose up. The heck does see faster mean? It makes sense if you don't think about it. Sasuke waved him off. Generally, bloodline limits are either eye powers, combination nature transformations, like being able to put together water and earth to make wood style, or weird things. What's under weird things? Itachi once fought a person who was two people. What does you know what? It's probably not on the exam. Naruto shrugged, looked down at his paper and paused, then looked back. Hang on. Hinata's in a clan. Has she got a bloodline limit? What? Sasuke shook his head in confusion. Yes. What, did you not see her eyes? She doesn't have pupils. I thought it was a condition. I didn't want to bring it up. Oh, for Kami's sake, in the highest room of the tallest tower in Konoha sat an old man in white-red robes. He had a pipe in his hands, but the usual wide-brimmed, triangular white hat that came with his office was laid on the desk before him. It was very useful for covering up all the paperwork he was meant to be doing. This was Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third, or technically fifth, Hokage. There were about half a dozen people in the world, at least, that Hiruzen knew about, who could sneak up to his office without being noticed by his guards. But there was only one person in the world that was actually allowed to waltz in any time he wanted. And naturally, Hiruzen's senses were sharp enough to pick up Naruto Uzumaki's presence pretty much the moment he entered the building. That might have been aided by the music. Hiruzen braced himself, and then the door slammed open. Body once told me the world was gonna roll me. Good evening, Naruto. Hiruzen interrupted, his voice, though quiet, immediately silencing the boy's singing. To what do I owe the pleasure? Oh, hey, Gramps. Naruto ran forwards, hopped up, and sat on the desk. Teach me history. Hiruzen blinked. History? Naruto nodded. Yep. History of Konoha, you have 5 minutes. Go. Questioning Naruto was almost never, ever worth it. Hiruzen leaned backwards, and subtly signaled to the Umbu guards waiting tensely outside his office to stand down. All right, history. Let's see. He raised his pipe to his mouth, puffed on it. Our knowledge of history only really goes back a few hundred years, to the Warring States period. It was a time when the world's myriad clans were constantly scrabbling for power and territory. Then, one day, the leaders of 2 powerful clans met. Hashirama Senju, and ominous thunder crackled in the distance, Madara Uchiha. There was a significant pause. What are the odds he's not dead and or comes back to life? Naruto asked. Not zero. Hiruzen admitted. They were very good friends, despite the fact that they were at war with each other and brokered peace between their clans. Eventually, an alliance made between those two, the Hyuuga, and the Sarutobi clan. That's you. Naruto pointed. That is me. Do you have cool secrets? I have a summoning contract with some apes. Dope. Came together to form the first hidden village. We are the village hidden in the leaves, Konoha, that's what that means. And the first of the hidden villages. There are 5 important hidden villages, and a few others that aren't relevant to the plot. Gucci. Naruto scooched forwards. And the Hokage is the boss, right? The Kage are. Hokage refers to the boss of the leaf. Hiruzen smiled. The other ranks are Genin, cannon fodder, Chunin, side characters, and Jonin, actually competent. You don't normally talk about them like that. Well, since you're here on the evening of the graduation exam, Hiruzen paused, waiting for Naruto's concerned chuckle. I figured I'd try something that would stick in your head. I'll try my best. Naruto pulled some paper from his pocket. Hiruzen recognized Iruka's handwriting, and smiled. Need to remember to give that man a raise, okay? Yeah, last thing on the list is Naruto's face fell. Oh. Right. Bijou. Ah. Hiruzen took another drag from his pipe. The tailed beasts. Would you still like to know? Why, yeah. Probably should. Naruto shifted position on the desk. It was the 9 tails that attacked our village, right? The day I was born? It was. Hiruzen nodded. There are 9-tailed beasts in the world. The first with 1 tail, the second with 2, all the way up to 9. All of them are incredibly powerful, incredibly dangerous. And the 9-tailed fox, the Kyuubi, is the strongest and most dangerous of all. It broke free that day 12 years ago, and caused untold destruction in our village. It killed the 4th Hokage, my successor, and forced me to reprise my role. Hiruzen closed his eyes. 12 long years, but sometimes he could still smell the smoke, hear the screams, feel poor Kushina's blood on his hands. There had been many times in his life where he'd fought a battle that seemed impossible, yet won by a combination of luck and quick thinking. But that night had been different. When faced with the demon fox, a beast so mighty it could trample houses, sweep ninja away in droves, and muster chakra that could damn near decimate the village in one blast, there had been no winning. Just hoping it killed them slowly enough for Minato Namikaze to get back. But we got it, right? Naruto asked, making him look up. We beat the fox? Sealed it away, yes. Permanently? The Bijou cannot be stopped forever. And the rest, I'm afraid, is classified. Hiruzen gave Naruto an apologetic smile. When you become a genin tomorrow, perhaps I will be able to tell you more. Naruto didn't respond to that statement with his usual outcry of determination, excitement, and believe it. He just watched Hiruzen, with eyes that for a moment looked much older than they should. It's to do with the fox, isn't it? Naruto said. Why they all hate me? Hiruzen frowned. As I said, much information regarding that night is see I know I'm an idiot, but I've been living with this for 12 years. Naruto interrupted, fists clenched. None of the other orphans from that attack get treated like this. It's the fact that I was born on that night, right? Naruto, what the hell did I do wrong, Gramps? He stood up on the desk, glaring. I have a right to Naruto. The slightest hint of killer intent in Hiruzen's voice, and Naruto froze. Behind him, the 2 Anbu Special Forces guards, who the boy almost certainly hadn't even noticed, did not lower their weapons. Hiruzen had to give the signal twice before they made themselves scarce again. It is late, he stood, making him Naruto's height even with the desk advantage, and you have a big day tomorrow. I suggest you return home. Sure. Home. Naruto hopped backwards off the desk, turned, and made for the door. Good night, Gramps. Naruto? Hiruzen spoke up again, feeling that he couldn't simply leave it there. Naruto looked back. Yeah. Hiruzen smiled, with as much warmth as he could possibly muster for the boy. Good luck, tomorrow. I believe in you. Hold tight to the will of fire. Naruto's eyes widened. Then the grin was back. You betcha. Just you wait, I'm gonna be the best genin the world's ever seen. Then the best chunin, then the best jonin, 'cause I know what those are now, and then I'm coming for that hat, old man. See you around. He waved, then bolted out the door. The chunin teacher Mizuki, who didn't have a surname because he died so early in the show, stood alone in his room. I'm gonna ruin Naruto's exam. He said to himself, then I'm gonna make him steal a forbidden technique for me, then I'm gonna tell him his deep dark secret, then I'm gonna kill him. Sure hope that doesn't happen off screen. White Eyes. Prologue. 5 years before graduation. The third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, sat at his desk in the Hokage Tower. The endless stack of paperwork in front of him was temporarily forgotten as he leaned back in his chair with a pipe in his mouth. His guard had been dismissed. As far as anyone could tell, he was completely alone in the room. Report. He said, softly. The situation is out of control, said the voice of Itachi Uchiha. It seemed to come from atop a bookcase, and the third wasn't sure whether the Uchiha prodigy was actually there or somewhere else in the room. Or it was a double bluff, or triple, but the situation was too serious for Hiruzen's usual games. Extrapolate. He said, simply. Shursui is dead. Itachi replied. Suicide. And nobody is going to believe it. You will take the blame? The third asked. I have no choice. There was a pause. My Mangekyo has awoken. I see. Hiruzen replied, neutrally. As far as the Uchiha knew, that required the murder of one close to you. Which I suppose means using the Kotoa Mitsukami to stop them is off the cards. I agree. Itachi replied. An interesting choice of words, suggesting it was unfeasible rather than impossible. Hiruzen knew where one of Shursui's eyes had gone. He wondered about the other. The situation is about to escalate. Itachi continued. Before, we had a week. Now, I don't know. I can't continue to hide my disapproval from them, Hokage-sama. I understand. The third replied. It was sometimes hard to remember Itachi was still just 12. So, old friend. Do you still insist that the best course of action is a massacre? That was not addressed to Itachi. There was a pause, before an unoccupied corner of the room spoke up. The Uchiha should not be exterminated, no. The third raised his eyebrows. Really, Danzo? I'm glad you have regained some sense. Do not mistake my intentions. The voice replied. The primary objective is, and must always be, the protection of Konoha. The Uchiha clan dead is better than a coup d'etat, but it is not optimal. Their ability to obtain the Mangekyo Sharingan makes them an incredible asset to the village. A value which must be weighed. I trust you don't intend to let the attack succeed? The third replied, once again feeling dirted by the root leader's pragmatism. They intend to kill me, Danzo. I would find that rather upsetting. This week will not end without bloodshed. Danzo replied. But we possess the privilege to choose whose blood. No, I do not believe that we should let them get away with their machinations. That would look bad. We also cannot be seen to appease them, for the same reason. The third thought. So you intend to appease them without doing so visibly. Which you realize would require them getting more power in the government, which in turn would involve. He paused, as he realized where Danzo's mind was going. Itachi caught on too. You want us to massacre a different clan? Are you sure you don't just really like clan massacres? The Senju are the object of their hate, but they barely exist as a clan at this point, and lack a reasonable scapegoat. Danzo continued, oblivious to Itachi's insubordination. Inuzuka, Nara, Aburame, none possess enough political power for killing them to do anything. Which leaves us with one. The Hyuuga. Hiruzen pinched the bridge of his nose. Danzo, the Hyuuga haven't done anything. We don't need a reason we can justify to the daimyo. Legally, we aren't meeting right now. We need a scapegoat with the power and motive to have reasonably slaughtered their entire clan completely independently. The Hyuuga conveniently provide one. Neji. Itachi whispered. The third winced. The Hyuga's use of the caged bird seal is questionable. You're looking for the word barbaric. Itachi supplied. Neji does have the skills, and he does have a motive. Hiruzen continued, nodding his head to concede the point. Would he do it, Itachi? For the good of the village? He knew the two boys were close. Itachi paused. He would never kill Hinata, that's the current heir to the main branch. As much as he rants about her, well, you know how I feel about Sasuke. It's ideal to leave at least one alive. Danzo muttered, thoughtfully. A male heir would be more convenient, but she should be able to continue the clan. Itachi shuddered, but kept going. Neji's just left the hospital for reasons he won't talk about. Tomorrow, he'll be in fighting shape. And yes, he'll be willing. I'm sure of it. He has a better reason than what we planned for me, at least, which really was just being a really big meanie. Are we certain about this? Said the Hokage. We are going to stop the Uchiha from betraying us by killing the Uchiha's enemies? Pragmatically, it makes sense. Danzo replied. The Hyuga's value is comparatively limited. The Byakugan doesn't have a Mangekyo. Hiruzen kept carefully silent. There was a blur, and Itachi became visible in the center of the room. He bowed to the third. I'll go tell him. S-class secrecy, I know. He rose and walked towards the door, pausing with this hand on the handle. Neji's never going to forgive himself for this. You know that, right? He vanished in a fluttering of crow's wings. Sarutobi glared at the corner of the room that probably contained Danzo. I'm totally disbanding Root after this. Whatever. A few days later, a 7-year-old Hinata Hyuuga skipped happily back towards the Hyuuga compound after an afternoon of her favorite pastime, Naruto spotting. She had admittedly gone on a bit longer than she had planned to, and now it was dark out, but the 2 gate guards she'd expect to chew her out were conspicuously absent. Thinking nothing of it, she was able to walk in unhindered, praising her good luck. She got 10 steps before she saw the first body. Her eyes narrowed at the person conspicuously laying on the pavement, eyes open, looking up to the sky. Auntie? What's wrong? Hinata knelt beside her, shaking her arm, but she didn't move. Frowning, Hinata slowly, carefully, went through the hand seal she had been taught for years, eventually calling out Byakugan. And looking down to assess the woman's chakra network. It wasn't there. There was no signature blue glow, no pulse of energy through her tenketsu. And now that Hinata's eyesight was enhanced, the woman didn't look to be breathing either. Help! Hinata called, scrambling away with a startled gasp. This woman needs help. She turned around, but couldn't see anyone else, so she ran further into the Hyuuga compound, expecting to see the night guard, expecting someone to see her, at least. All she found was more bodies. Crying, she ran past corpse after corpse, all visibly unharmed, but with no life flowing through their bodies. Her eyes pointed out in painstaking detail every face, every terrified expression. She held back her bile and stumbled, desperately making her way to her own house, hoping against hope that there. Her eyes finally made out a chakra network through the wall. She shoved her own door open, running through the hallway, up to her parents' bedroom, bursting in to find she blinked, and her Byakugan fell away in her confusion. Neji? Her older cousin turned towards her, away from the dead bodies of her parents. There were no visible pupils, nor irises in his eyes. They were orbs of pure, lavender-tinged white. "Tell me, Hinata." He spoke. "Do you believe you can defy fate?" "Hey, big brother." Itachi smiled as he closed the door to his home behind him. "Hello, little brother. What are you doing up this late?" "I wanted to wait up for you." Sasuke pouted. He walked forward and narrowed his eyes. "Hey, what's up with your eyes? Are you crying?" Itachi chuckled, wiping off the blood dripping from one of his eyes. Internally, he cursed the consequences of the Mangekyo's power. "It's nothing, little brother. I'm here, and everything's all right." Act I breaking the ice. Graduation. Present day. Sasuke Uchiha sat at his desk in his thinking pose. It wasn't the same as Shikamaru's thinking pose, but it bore a marked similarity Sasuke would deny to any who brought it up. Currently, he was using it as an excuse to stare straight ahead and ignore the disaster going on at his left. "I honestly can't believe you managed to pass the exam," Sakura yelled. "Same to you. How you made a transformation jutsu that hid that forehead of yours is beyond me," Ino yelled back. "Shut up. It's not that bad. Besides, it's not like you don't owe it is so that bad. I bet any man would agree that it's ridiculously ugly. Isn't that right, Sasuke? Don't be ridiculous yourself. Sasuke would never tell me I looked ugly. Right, Sasuke? Sasuke? Sasuke." Sasuke tried not to sigh. When he brooded, they swooned, and when he smiled, they swooned. He wondered if maybe he was cold and uncaring all the time, they would get the hint and leave him alone. Or maybe that would just make it worse. He'd probably have to figure it out soon, given that his primary fangirl defense had gone and gotten himself held back a year. His ears pricked. In the distance, he heard some oddly familiar guitar chords. Then there was an intake of breath from outside the classroom door. The door slammed open. "Body once told me the world was gonna roll me. I Naruto, what the fuck are you doing?" Sasuke called out over the painfully off-key singing. She was looking. "Oh hey Sasuke." Naruto Uzumaki, leaf headband firmly fixed on his forehead, waved to his friend, before jumping towards a wall. He hit it, pushed back off, and landed in a slide on his stomach on Sasuke's desk, ending up perfectly in front of him with a shit-eating grin on his face. "Did you miss me?" Sasuke let his head hit the desk. "Naruto, I know the ninja academies are big on alternative methods of passing, but I don't think stealing some poor soul's forehead protector qualifies you for genin." "Oh no, I'm officially a genin now, Iruka-sensei says so." Naruto stretched on the desk. "Yeah, I stole a forbidden scroll, learned an A-rank jutsu, made a dramatic revelation about my past, and then beat the crap out of Mizuki-sensei. They basically had to promote me after that." Sasuke looked up at him. "Really?" "Yep. That's what you're going with?" "It's the truth." "You're not fooling anyone, Naruto." Ino huffed. Naruto arched his back to look, upside down, at the two girls there. "Oh hey Ino." He wiggled his eyebrows. "Sakura, get the hell off Sasuke's desk." The pink-haired girl rolled her eyes. Naruto rolled his body in response, falling in Sasuke's footwell with a grunt. "So does this mean you'll be able to maintain your role as my girl repellent?" Sasuke asked, looking down at him. He hadn't lost any of his previous effectiveness. Sakura and Ino had already wrinkled their noses and sat down at their desk. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Sasuke, you're a genin now. You can't ignore all the ladies forever. Watch me. Come on." Naruto clambered to his feet, sitting down next to Sasuke. "If you had to go out with one girl from this class, who would it be?" Sasuke actually thought about it. "Hinata." Naruto's eyes widened. "Ooh, that's out of left field." "Why?" Sasuke shrugged. "She's the only one who doesn't pester me all the time." "Huh, that's a good point. Well, one way to check if it'll work out. Don't. Naruto stood up on his chair and called across the room. Hey, Hinata. Sat in the back corner of the room was a girl with short, navy blue hair and a thick fur-lined white jacket. Her eyes, white irises with no visible pupils, were staring down at the desk with a blank expression. Said eyes looked up upon being called and widened when they saw the caller. Naruto? Yeah. Naruto returned, waving and then grabbing Sasuke by the hair, the latter having slumped back down in embarrassment. Hey, how would you feel about dating Sasuke? Hinata didn't reply, she just shook her head. Crap. Don't worry, Sasuke, it's not you, it's her. Look, I'll prove it. Hey, Hinata. Wanna go out with me? She froze, and a blush appeared on her cheeks. Wow. Sasuke stated, nonplussed. You're so unappealing, you made Hinata stutter. I've never heard her do that. Really? She does it all the time around me, weird. The door opened again, and Umino Iruka stepped in. All right, class, settle down. He called, body flickering to the front. Now everyone here has passed their genin exams, so congratulations. And Naruto, special thanks for how you caught Mizuki. I'm not sure if you officially get a bounty for that, but I'll bring it up with the Hokage. Sasuke looked across at Naruto. Wait, you were telling the truth? Naruto just grinned. Now, as you know, you are to be sorted into 3-man teams. Iruka continued. Thanks to Naruto's last-minute success, the class can be evenly distributed into 3s, so that's good. Naruto frowned. That's a good point. He called out. What would have happened if I hadn't showed up? Iruka shrugged. Root probably would have inserted a spy into the class, I guess. Anyway, the teams are as follows. Sasuke waited, listening with glee as Ino, Shikamaru, Choji. Ino's face fell and Sakura, Shino, Kiba. Sakura's followed moments later. No, Sasuke kept from me, Sakura mumbled, head on her desk. It's okay, Sakura. Naruto called down to her. I'm sure you'll have fun with Bug Boy and Dog Breath. What did you say? Came Kiba's outraged cry. And finally, Iruka rechecked his sheet. Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto. Sasuke noticed Hinata's surprised look and allowed himself to smile. This was manageable. Hinata was quiet, and he could respect that. And Naruto, he'd used to hate him. It was only natural, he supposed. Everyone and their mothers hated Naruto. In fact, most of the time, everyone's mothers told them to hate Naruto. Until one day, Itachi had taken Sasuke aside and asked him specifically why he hated Naruto, and he'd been embarrassingly unable to come up with an answer. Itachi had explained that most of Konoha's adults hated the Fox Brat, oddly specific title, for a reason they weren't allowed to share because it was top-secret classified ninja information. This wasn't something unusual for his Jonin big brother to say. However, Itachi had cautioned it wasn't a very good reason to hate someone, so Sasuke should probably decide what to think of Naruto based on his own merit. So Sasuke had. And, to his burgeoning horror, he had actually kind of liked the idiot. He jolted back to attention as Iruka was saying, and Team 7 is to report to Hatake Kakashi. Get to it, kids. There was a blur of motion from the classroom as a few dozen ninja children made their assorted escapes. Woo! On a team together. How's that for luck, Sasuke? And you're with your one true love. Naruto was smiling again. He did that a lot. You're gonna have to stop with that soon, or this team is gonna get really weird. Sasuke shook his head. But speaking of, where's our third member? They looked to the corner of the classroom, but Hinata had already vanished. A Konoha rooftop, far later than anticipated. Where the hell is this guy? A head of yellow hair called to the skies. We were supposed to meet our new leader hours ago. Kakashi took that moment to arrive. He appeared in a flurry of leaves right in front of them with a yo. This at least managed to freak out the blonde one. The Uchiha was probably used to it, and the Hyuga had seen him a while ago with those eyes. or at least, she had seen the shadow clone he'd left to look after them while he sat at home reading Jiraiya's works. So, you're my genin team, huh? He looked over the 3 children he knew had perhaps the most potential in the village. You don't look like much. Hey! Blonde shouted. Don't doubt me. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I'm Kakashi. Put his finger over the boy's mouth with a shhh. Don't spoil the introductions, I had a plan going into this, and I'm not coming up with a new one. He leaned back. So then, introductions. Let's give our name, our likes, dislikes, and hopes for the future, okay? There was nodding. Perfect. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I like masks, and everything else I could tell you is classified. Blondie, you go next. The kid blinked, before shaking his head. Right. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, pranks, awesome ninja moves, and ramen. I don't like people who take any steps to limit my ramen intake, and Sasuke, because he's my eternal rival, and it's pretty much necessary for the job to hate him. My dream is to one day become the Hokage. You better believe it. Kakashi swallowed his desire to cringe. Well, that was something. Mrs. Bright Eyes, you next. My name is Hyuuga Hinata. The girl spoke, enunciating her words with extreme purpose. I hate a lot of things a little, and one person very much. I like one thing. Her eyes drifted to Blondie, and Kakashi had to swallow his desire to cringe again. Hinata's eyes narrowed. My dream is to have my revenge on one specific person. And I will make that dream a reality. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Well, that was something else. Kakashi continued, unmoved. Haircut, you next. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. Said Haircut. I like, well, I'm sure there's something. My big brother, I suppose. I dislike annoying people who forcibly insert themselves in my life, which is especially true for my, he made quotation marks, eternal rival. My aspiration is to one day become a proud member of my clan. What he means is he wants his dad to notice him. He gets super upset about it. Gak. Naruto shouted before being rugby tackled by the other boy. All right then. Kakashi stalled, looking at the 2 wrestling boys, and the girl sat watching them. I'm sure I'll remember your names at some point, but until then you'll go by Issues 1, Issues 2, and Issues 3. This is probably a good time to mention you technically haven't passed yet. What? That got the boys to stop fighting. Kakashi nodded and smiled, creasing his mask. Yep. I have high standards. So we're going to have a little get-together tomorrow and do an extra test. Otherwise, he let just a hint of killing intent out. All 3 of you are going back to the academy. That got a flinch out of all of them. Right then. Kakashi went back to smiling. Meet you at Training Ground 27 at 8 tomorrow morning. Don't be late. Oh, and don't eat anything for breakfast. With that, he body flickered away. He stayed nearby long enough to hear, well, that guy was weird. Before chuckling and leaving for his house. 2 bells 1 sensei. The next day. Okay, this is ridiculous. Naruto growled to himself, pacing outside the entrance to Training Ground 27. It's 10:30. He should have been here ages ago. 2 hours 30 minutes ago, yeah. Sasuke grumbled, laying on the floor. And he warned us not to eat breakfast. This is planned. You know, a bunch of ninja. Do any of them remember doing this extra test? Naruto asked his friend. Sasuke frowned. Not that I've asked. But now that I think about it, Itachi has been smiling suspiciously ever since I mentioned Kakashi was my sensei. Hinata tuned the Uchiha's voice out. She was technically sat facing away from the 2, but convenient 360 Byakugan vision meant she could still watch Naruto's face as he was complaining. So what's this then, teaching us to not listen to him? Teaching us how to be unprepared? Actually, Sasuke pondered. He might just be fucking with us. That son of a, I brought bentos. Hinata said, softly, cutting off Naruto's complaining. You what? Lunch. Hinata simplified. I didn't eat breakfast either, but I brought lunch in case we were busy all day. If it's an emergency, we can have it now. She had, admittedly, only brought 2 bento boxes, one for her and Naruto, but the Uchiha was probably lying about not eating. Hinata was willing to bet his older brother had told him all about the spell test, and he was playing dumb to fit in. It must be nice to have an older brother. Naruto was about to accept her offer, but there was a whirl of leaves, and Kakashi finally showed up. I wouldn't use your alternative method of passing just yet if I were you. He called to them, sounding bored. You! Naruto yelled, getting to his feet. Why are you so late? It's been, 2.5 hours. Hinata supplied. 2.5 hours. Naruto finished. Thanks Hinata, sensei, what were you doing? Kakashi shrugged. Good question actually. You see, I was on my way here when an army of squirrels arrived, and can we skip this and get to the exam part? Sasuke called. He still hadn't gotten up. Sure. Kakashi replied, strolling through the entrance to the training ground. Follow me. The training ground was very similar to plenty of other training grounds, with dummies lined up in a row, a copse of trees, and a river running through it. Kakashi stopped somewhere in between all these landmarks and pulled something out of his pocket. They jingled. Bells? Naruto asked, confused. Kakashi nodded. 2 of them. You have until midday to get them from me. Use whatever methods you feel you need to. Begin. He clipped the bells to his belt and pulled out a book. Team 7 stood there for a moment, confused. So do we just? Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who shrugged. Well, all right then. Naruto made a hand seal. Let's do this thing. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Suddenly, there were a whole lot more Naruto. Kakashi glanced upwards from his book to see about 50 orange-clad headaches running towards him. He considered a handful of methods of neutralizing the attack, but eventually went with the simplest. He went back down to his book as his spare hand drew a kunai. As the Narutos moved towards him, he began a rhythmic thrusting motion with the knife. The first 10 or so popped because he just had a longer reach. The next 20 or so came in with flying punches and kicks, without realizing that he could just stab their hands and feet to dispel them. The last dozen surrounded him and jumped at him all at once, from different directions. He stabbed a bit faster and took 1 step to the left. The shouting and poofs stopped, so he holstered the kunai and looked up. Did I not make myself clear? You're free to attack me now. Naruto was in shock. He's a bit stronger than Mizuki. He acknowledged. Sasuke let out a breath. Hinata. He addressed the girl. I know you're good at taijutsu. I might be able to help if I can. I don't need your help, Uchiha. She spat. Sasuke blinked, surprised, as she sprinted forwards, beelining for Kakashi. Then he scowled. All right then. You can be the distraction instead. Sasuke turned to Naruto. I've changed my mind. I'd rather date Ino than her. He started running too, leaving a flustered Naruto behind. Hinata came up on Kakashi fast, showing impressive speed for someone her size. She landed in front of Kakashi in a perfect gentle fist stance, launching her hand forward to Kakashi's head, 2 fingers brimming with chakra. Kakashi caught her by the wrist, without looking up. Then Hinata pulsed chakra out the tenketsu on her wrist, right into Kakashi's palm. It should have completely numbed that hand, but instead Kakashi exploded into smoke. Hinata coughed and stepped backwards, and Sasuke halted a few meters behind her. Shadow clone. Sasuke growled. I'm starting to hate that technique. You can't tell the difference? No. She glared at him, like she was angry he dared question her abilities, and began walking in a random direction. Or was it random? Can you see him? Sasuke asked. Yes. What are you doing now then? I'm going to get the bells. She accelerated to a run. Hinata, wait. She stopped. Sasuke turned to Naruto, who had jogged up. Oh, so she'll listen to him. We can't just keep running at him one after the other. He explained. We're just genin and he's a jonin, he'll just keep stopping us. You're saying I'm not strong enough? Hinata's voice was testy. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Hinata looked like she'd just been slapped in the face with a wet fish. He's a jonin. Naruto repeated. He could probably have taken us all out without us noticing, even if we were prepared for it. So, we've got to get better. Better means we need a good jonin sensei, which means we need to get the bells, which means we need to work together. Duh. Hinata paused. Sasuke looked on in awe. The talk no jutsu, I'd only heard rumors. Eventually Hinata blushed and nodded. All right. What's the plan? Kakashi was having a lovely morning. Jiraiya's new volume was superb, tying up multiple plot threads from his previous works. The bit he was at, 5 of the main characters were trapped in the same room, and things seemed to be building to a, he sniggered internally, climax. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like he was going to get a chance to start the next chapter as the kiddies were making another attempt. He sighed and made a note of the page. A glint was all that could be discerned before a trio of kunai came hurtling out of the forest edge towards him. Sasuke's work, probably. Kakashi seemed to recall his elder brother being fond of throwing techniques. The spray was wide, the center kunai going straight for him, but the other 2 going to pass by on either side. An inexperienced ninja might think that was just to stop him dodging, but Kakashi was not an inexperienced ninja. He plucked the first kunai out of the air and swung it, severing the razor wire tied between the outer 2 knives and leaving them to fly harmlessly to either side. By that point, Sasuke had leapt from the forest and completed a very familiar set of hand seals, making Kakashi's eye widen in surprise. He can do that already? Great fireball jutsu! The boy called, before launching an impressive burst of flame at the copy ninja. He could have dodged, it was a slow technique, if not for the 2 kunai that had passed him dispelling their transformation jutsu as both appeared as Naruto. Both orange-clad ninja had their hands in position to call out Shadow Clone Jutsu. And summon a good dozen more miniature menaces. The original 2 Naruto continued to fly away, but the new copies hadn't inherited the momentum and formed a semicircle around the back of Kakashi, readying to throw their own kunai, and that great fireball was getting worryingly close. Kakashi sighed, dropped the kunai in his hand, and started forming hand seals. At which point that kunai, the first that had been thrown, transformed back into Hinata, who, as she was falling, snatched the bells from a preoccupied Kakashi's belt, and flung them away. Kakashi finished his jutsu, producing a dome of wind that should counteract the fire and any more thrown knives, and then the original 2 Naruto finished the hand seals for their substitution jutsu. And both the bells and Hinata appeared on the other side of the clearing. The original 2 Naruto now sat inside the wind dome with Kakashi, grinned sheepishly. He popped both clones, annoyed, as Hinata grabbed the bells and took off towards the edge of the forest with them. The whole affair had taken no more than 5 seconds. Hinata's heart fluttered as the real Naruto walked out of the forest. He'd been frustrated that after a few iterations of the plan, he hadn't actually been there in person, but he was grinning from ear to ear now. She loved to see him smile. We did it! She cried, separating the 2 bells and tossing one to him. Sasuke walked up, trying to control his happy expression but failing. Hell yeah! Go Team 7! Naruto was cheering, elated, turning back to Kakashi and shouting, "How's that for your bell test, you big lazy and ninja?" Sasuke supplied. Yeah. Big lazy ninja. Kakashi walked up, clapping. Well done. Excellent example of how basic jutsu can be used to great effect if used intelligently. I guess that means Naruto and Hinata pass. There was a pause while the trio contemplated that. And Sasuke? Naruto ventured. Kakashi smiled. Oh no. You see, there are 2 bells, which means only 2 of you get to pass. What? Naruto exclaimed. That's not fair. The numbers seem to add up to me. Kakashi replied, shrugging. But if you want to trade those around, change who gets to pass, go ahead. Or you could fight for them, that's always fun. Hinata was on edge. On one hand, this was ideal. Just her and Naruto, without the Uchiha getting in the way. On the other, said Uchiha was also on edge, and eyeing both her and Naruto very carefully. Don't try it. She thought. Don't you dare. Then there was a jingle. Hinata watched, mouth agape, as Naruto flung his bell across to Sasuke, who caught it on reflex with a look just as surprised as Hinata's. Naruto. She whispered. What are you? Don't worry about me. He said in a too cheerful voice. You two are the best in the class, big fancy clans and all. It's probably best if you both go forwards without me. Hinata knew the smile Naruto was sprouting, as one of his hands moved to scratch the back of his neck in embarrassment. She had seen it all too often from him. It meant he wasn't actually happy, but was pretending to stop the people around him from being sad for his sake. Hinata hated that look. Hated it. No! She interrupted, rushing up and pressing her bell into his hands, then jumping away before he could try to give it back. You want to be Hokage, remember? She told him. I won't let you squander that dream. Then she flicked her hand up in front of her face on reflex, as her Byakugan spotted a projectile coming towards her. The bell in her hand jingled. What? Go ahead, said Sasuke, his hands empty. I have Itachi and the rest of my clan to train me if I need to. You two are orphans. You need this opportunity more than I do. Hinata practically snarled, and started walking back to him with the bell outstretched. Don't pity me, Uchiha, I don't need this to well then. Kakashi's voice cut across the burgeoning argument between the three. This is very funny to watch, but I'm going to cut it short. Seems to me like you can't decide, which leaves me with one option. All three of you, they tensed. Pass. Ah, look at their excited little faces. I'm getting cavities. Kakashi watched the three of them start celebrating again. Rest assured. He cut in. If you had decided selfishly who got the bells, I wouldn't have passed any of you. Always remember those who fail to complete their missions are trash. But those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. So the whole point of there being two bells was just to set us against each other? Sasuke confirmed. That's right. Fuck you. Language. Kakashi cautioned, shaking a finger. And remember not to get too cocky that you beat a jonin. If I'd jumped those three kunai, it wouldn't have worked. If I'd used any element that wasn't transparent for my defense, it wouldn't have worked. If I'd been a shadow clone, which you already knew I could do, it wouldn't have worked. But it did. Naruto hedged. Kiddo, haircut does not keep his kunai as perfectly clean as your transformed versions were. I knew what you were doing. It worked because I let it work. Ah. Kakashi turned. Actual missions and training begin tomorrow. Ciao. He vanished in a swirl of petals. Welp. Naruto clapped his hands together. That was a thing, and now I'm hungry. Hey Hinata, didn't you say you had? She inclined her head, blushing a little. Yes, Naruto. We can eat the bentos. She even shared some with Sasuke. Later that evening, you passed the bell test? Itachi asked, incredulously. I've never doubted you, but you know Kakashi's never actually passed anyone, right? As expected of our son, said Fugaku, the Uchiha clan head. Could you pass the potatoes, please? This wasn't a celebratory dinner. Sasuke had already had one of those for making genin, and it wouldn't do for him to get a big head, but it was still one of his favorite meals. So you do know about my crazy sensei. Sasuke pointed a fork at his big brother. When were you planning on telling me he'd try to make me betray my teammates? Never, said Itachi between mouthfuls, refusing to be guilted. You'd have made it, or failed, on your own merit. The Uchiha way, or something. Speaking of teammates, who have you been put with? Asked their father. They will be your partners until you make Chunin, and many teams remain close long after that. It's important that you're paired with suitable individuals. Of course. I believe we will work well together. Sasuke replied, waiting for his father to take a drink. One is Hyuga Hinata. Fugaku spat his drink across the table and broke into a coughing fit. Are you all right, father? Sasuke asked, innocently. Yes, I only the last Hyuga? Fugaku managed, taking another drink to clear his cough. Yes. And Uzumaki Naruto. Fugaku sprayed even more water over the table, prompting his wife to move over and begin patting his back. Sounds like a good combination, said Itachi, impassively, helping himself to some peas. Out of all, their father got over his coughing fit. Sasuke, I will go and speak with the Hokage. I'm sure I can arrange your movement to a different team. That won't be necessary, father. Sasuke replied, trying to sound forceful. Me and Naruto, he failed to accurately describe their relationship. Get along. Hinata is a bit contentious, but has proven we can work together. But, this was the most flustered Sasuke had seen his father in a long time. The Uzumaki brat? Why was he even allowed to graduate? You're going to have to explain why everyone hates him, or Sasuke's going to stay best friends with him on principle. Itachi chipped in. But the Hyuga girl. Fugaku changed tack. Her cousin murdered her entire clan, cousin from her father's twin, they're practically siblings. Even if she doesn't snap, when she grows up she's going to restore the Hyuga's influence and wrest it from our own clan. Ohio wa treo ganado lanchikau deta? Itachi murmured into his glass. Fugaku managed to avoid another coughing fit. Anyway. Her interests are diametrically opposed to yours. Watch out for her. Actually, that might not be the case. Sasuke's mother spoke up. It might be possible to bring her around to our side. How do you mean? Asked Sasuke, but Itachi had already caught on. Mother has a point, Sasuke. He said, smiling. She's a very pretty young girl, and you've reportedly seduced a lot of the girls in your class already. Sasuke went red. Itachi, stop. I already changed my mind about her. Changed your mind? His mother chipped in. How did you feel before? Sasuke buried his face in his hands. I was joking with Naruto, I hate you both. Father, save me. Fugaku, even more horrifyingly, was actually thinking about it. It would neutralize the threat quite elegantly. He mused. And I've always been curious what would happen if the two bloodline limits were combined. You're children enough. Sasuke shouted. I am going to great fireball all of you. No jutsu at the dinner table, Sasuke. Wake up call. Evening of the bell test. Hiruzen watched the Umbu guards stationed in his office fall from the ceiling and land on the floor in a heap. He sighed. Danzo, you gotta stop doing this. He'll live, said the ex and current, if some of the Hokage's sources were to be believed, leader of Root, stepping into the office. I needed to talk to you. Of course you do. Sarutobi sighed. Any particular subject, or would you simply like to catch up? Actually, I thought I might discuss the genin teams that have been formed most recently, said Danzo, taking a chair in front of the desk. More specifically, Team 7. What of it? Asked the third, inwardly groaning. How were its members selected? Danzo asked, innocently. Hiruzen shrugged. It's traditional for the best boy, best girl, and worst overall in the year to be put on a team together. Both Hinata and Sasuke are very skilled, and as Naruto technically failed the examination, I see. Danzo replied. If you'd put, oh I don't know, Haruno Sakura under Kakashi, I might have believed that. But no, you put the young male heir to the Uchiha, the one remaining Hyuga, and the damn Nine-Tails Jinchuriki on the same team under your best and most loyal jonin. Hiruzen nodded. Actually, in hindsight, I suppose that would be, he quoted a term from his grandson, pretty darn overpowered. Hiruzen, would you care to tell me if there's any reason in particular you're trying to recreate the legendary Sannin? I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Sarutobi don't Sarutobi me. The third snapped, eyes hard. You lost that right when you tried to put one of your spies in my school. Sai, was it? If he even has a real name. How young are you grooming your soldiers now? I could ask you the same. Danzo returned. We both know something's coming. You could use my help. The last time I requested your help, I ruined 2 lives and lost 200 more. Hiruzen replied. I have learned not to make that mistake again. Danzo glared at him for a good few more seconds. Then I shall act alone. As I always have. He turned and walked out the door. Sarutobi waited a few seconds, then slammed a fist into his desk, sufficient to splinter the wood. He heaved himself out of his seat and walked over to the unconscious Umbu, kneeling down beside the androgynous ninja beneath a boar mask. He slapped them round the face. What hit me, they mumbled, before jolting to alertness. Hokage-sama. They shouted, getting up. What, make sure the rest of my guard is awake. He growled. Then get me Kakashi. It's time for a wake-up call. 3 years before Big Brother? Big Brother. Itachi groaned and cracked open one eye, barely controlling the urge to awaken his Sharingan and Tsukuyumi the fool who woke him. He shifted under the covers and propped his head on one arm. Sasuke? What are you doing? It's 6 o'clock. You promised you'd show me how to do the multi-kunai throwing. Pouted the 9-year-old. Itachi scowled. I know you act more mature than this at school, brother. You said that any morning you weren't on a mission you'd help me with training. Sasuke stated, as though Itachi was trying to deny an immutable law of the universe. I just got back from a mission, the elder protested, weakly. Then you are back. The younger pointed out, logically. So? Come on. Itachi groaned again, and pulled himself out of bed. Never mind that said mission had necessitated 38 hours of continued consciousness, and he'd only flopped into bed an hour ago. He had promised Sasuke training, so there was training to be done. Present-day Sasuke groaned and opened one eye, trying desperately to awaken his damn Sharingan already so he could genjutsu the fool who woke him. Itachi. He mumbled. I appreciate the dedication, I do, but I have a Jonin sensei now. You don't have to keep. He placed the identity of the person by his beside and trailed off. Yo! Said Kakashi. Sasuke let out a scream that was entirely undignified for the heir to the great Uchiha clan and leapt to his feet, pulling the kunai from under his pillow and pointing it at the transgressor. You! What are you doing here? You're late. Kakashi said, smiling under his mask. I'm late? Sasuke hissed, looking to his door, hoping he hadn't woken anyone. What the fuck were you yesterday? Again with the potty mouth. Kakashi scolded. Did you get that from Itachi, yeah? Sasuke growled. What the hell are you doing in my room? We have training, which you were late to. How rude of you. You didn't tell me when it was. Or where, for that matter. You can't become a jonin by making excuses, haircut. But as I am a gracious sensei, I decided to come get you. Sasuke was incredulous. So you broke into my house? Hardly a drastic measure for a ninja. Besides, nobody caught me. Can you two be more quiet in there? Itachi's voice came through the wall. Some of us are trying to sleep. All right, one person caught me. Kakashi relented, grudgingly. But since I'm still alive, I think that's enough proof that he agrees with my intentions. Now get dressed. You'll have to work extra hard to make up for your laziness. Shaking his head, Sasuke left the comfort of his bed and walked towards his closet. Yesterday you couldn't be present for 10, how come now you're starting training at 6? It was supposed to be 5, actually. Kakashi replied. And it's not me doing your training. What? Shut up and get out of the closet, Sasuke. Elsewhere, at the same time, Naruto blinked and opened his eyes. Oh. Hey. He mumbled. Kakashi, leaning over him, tilted his head. That's your reaction? You're not at all worried that a ninja is in your apartment? Standing over you while you sleep? Naruto shrugged. I have Anbu in or near my room basically every night. At first that was confusing, but when I learned I was a Jinchuriki it kinda started to make sense. I'm used to it by this point. Well, that's a habit, to kick Kakashi sighed. Get out of bed, Whiskers. We have training to do. I already have a shadow clone at Sasuke's place. Naruto frowned, sitting up and rubbing his eyes. Not Hinata's? Oh, I wouldn't be worried. She's outside your window right now. Training ground 14, you have 20 minutes. Kakashi disappeared in a flurry of leaves. Naruto got to his feet and stretched, sparing a look around his apartment building to check Kakashi hadn't done anything to it. The empty ramen packets were still piled up beside his bin and the kitchen was still a mess, so the Jonin certainly hadn't been cleaning up, before walking over to the window. Sure enough, when he looked out and down, there was a girl with blue hair in the alleyway looking incredibly guilty. Hinata? What are you doing down there? The Hyuga was poking her index fingers together and focusing intently on the floor. I came to see you. Kakashi woke me up too, and you live nearby, so Naruto shrugged. Oh. Cool, thanks. Had Naruto paid more attention in certain classes, he might have known that training ground 14 was actually between the Hyuga compound and his apartment. But he didn't. I'll get dressed and come down in a sec, then we can go together, okay? He called out, instead. Her face went red, and her Byakugan very definitely turned off, but she nodded. A little confused, Naruto went back inside. 18 minutes later. The four got together in the woods. Training ground 14 was apparently just a massive open space, but Kakashi, looking furtively through the entrance, had prevented them from entering and hid them amongst the leaves just outside the area. So, I'm sure you're all wondering what you're doing here. Kakashi began. Yeah, and why it's so early. Sasuke grouched. Yeah, and why we're all hiding in a bush. Naruto added. Well, that's very simple. Kakashi replied. You see, I was planning on taking it easy, letting you play around with D ranks, maybe teaching you tree walking, wasting our time? Hinata cut in. Precisely. Kakashi agreed, before his expression, at least what could be seen, took on a much more serious edge. I know full well what it's like to lose your childhood to this profession, and didn't want to force that onto you. He brightened again. Until our dear Hokage called me in and reminded me we don't really have time for that, as you're all likely to get assassinated or kidnapped at any point. What? He was met by 3 outraged children's expressions. He pointed at Sasuke. You're the youngest member of a prominent blood release clan. He swung the finger around to Hinata. You're the only member of a prominent blood release clan, and have in fact already been kidnapped once, around to Naruto, and I can't tell these two about your little secret, but every adult from Konoha, plus everyone important everywhere else, knows all about it. Naruto gulped. Everyone? There's a file in the Hokage's desk detailing all the attacks on you Anbu has foiled. Kakashi elaborated. It is a thick file. Naruto went a little pale. Sasuke looked like his brother had already told him more than he should have been told about the blonde, and Hinata looked downright murderous. The solution to this is to become strong enough to fend off said hostiles as quickly as possible. Kakashi continued. Which I was feeling pretty bad about, until I realized that you've all barely had childhoods anyway. For the same reasons we just went through, conveniently. I had a Sasuke paused. I mean, it wasn't a normal childhood, but when was the last time your dad said he was proud of you? Naruto cut in. Sasuke actually blushed. How would I know? It's not like I keep a running, he knows exactly what date it was, how long it's been to the day. Shut up. Anyway. Kakashi interrupted before they could jump each other again. He sighed. This is why I made my test so hard, it's like herding cats with you people, which is precisely the problem. I can't manhandle you through stringent ninja training. Sure, in the other hidden villages you'd have your sense of hope and free will broken then be forced into obedience, but we can't do that in Konoha because something will of fire. He looked over them all. No. I've been ordered to work you hard, but you'd have to put that effort in yourselves. You all gave me your aspirations for the future. How far are you willing to go to achieve those goals? I'd do anything. Hinata spoke up even before Naruto could break into a speech. Nothing can stand in my way. Working ridiculous hours? Kakashi probed. Intense pain? Training methods that could be defined as cruel and unusual punishment? Anything. Hinata insisted. Kakashi turned to the pair of boys. That goes the same for you too? Both nodded, determination in their eyes. Great. Kakashi beamed. Then let's get started. He pushed through the foliage and walked onto the training ground proper. As Team 7 followed him, they noticed that the ground was already occupied by another genin team as well as a more senior ninja wearing a questionable outfit. Hey guy. Kakashi called out. Mind if we talk for a few minutes? As the two jonin walked away, Guy's hand around Kakashi's shoulders, their respective teams were left alone with each other. It could have been a standoff, but only the girl actually approached them, with one of the boys, looking like a miniature clone of Guy, doing push-ups in the background. The other, a pale child, simply sat and watched the proceedings. You're one of the new teams, right? Said the girl, stuffing her hands into her pockets. Name's 1010. What's brought you to our neck of the woods? Damn right. Said Naruto, immensely proud. We're Team 7. I'm Naruto, this is Sasuke and Hinata. We don't actually know why we're here. Kakashi did go into a long spiel about training beforehand though. Sasuke supplied. 1010 shuddered. You poor souls, get out while you still can. What? Nothing. 1010 replied, breezily. She gestured to her companions. The one in the eyesore of a jumpsuit is Rock Lee. He's certainly something. And our third teammate is Sai. Good ninja, great painter, but less than perfect at socializing. Upon hearing his name, the pale boy looked up and gave a vacant smile. Hello. He said. Demon, orphan, haircut. It's nice to meet you. Team 7 collectively blinked. 1010 sighed and turned back to her teammate. Sai, we talked about this. Don't nickname people immediately after meeting them, and don't give them nicknames that are so negative. Sai tilted his head. But you nickname us offensive things all the time. Just this morning you called Lee a masochistic piece of sure insults. Sai, you're confusing nicknames with insults. She face-palmed and turned back to Team 7. Well, it's good to see we aren't the only dysfunctional genin trio in Leaf. Sasuke casually dropped. I don't know what you mean. Said Hinata, deadpan. You wouldn't. Sasuke sighed, after realizing she was being serious. Yeah, Sasuke, what do you mean dysfunctional? Naruto added, visibly confused. The Uchiha looked up to 1010. Please help. He mumbled. The girl put her hand on his shoulder, reassuringly. I wish I could, fellow sane person. I wish I could, yes. Came a shout from Kakashi's direction. I accept your challenge, Kakashi. There was a blur, and Guide slid to a stop in front of the trio. Your sensei has always been a tenacious one, Genin. He said, eyes closed. But now he has gone too far, and will finally be defeated. What did he do? Asked Tenten, apparently used to such dramatic displays. Hitaki Kakashi has set me a challenge. Guy explained. He believes that I will be unable to continue my usual training regime while also bolstering his own team physically. And his eyes snapped open. We'll prove him wrong. The sun glinted dramatically off his teeth and eyes. There was a pause. Do you make bets like this with Kakashi very often? Asked Hinata. Your sensei has been my rival for years, young ninja. Guy affirmed. What happens to Kakashi if he loses? Hinata asked, curiously. Absolutely nothing. Guy exclaimed. Now come on. I have you every weekday from 5 until 8 and I do not intend to waste any of it. Sasuke blew out a breath. Okay, 3 hours a day. This doesn't sound too much more stringent than what I do usually. Get moving, ninja. Guy called. After we do some stretches, we'll get started on some aerobic work. I of course understand that you are all unused to my training methods, so we will begin with only 3 laps around the hidden village. Show me the fires of your youth. He's joking, right? Sasuke asked, looking at Tenten. She shook her head, sadly. I'm so sorry. You're either going to become total beasts, or you're going to die. 3 very exhausted genin fell to the floor in front of Kakashi. He's a monster. Naruto gasped. They've done remarkably well, Kakashi. Guy said from behind them, barely sweating. I look forward to training with them tomorrow. That was hell and we were late. You want us to do an extra hour on top of that? Every day? Sasuke exclaimed. If all goes to plan, I will be able to up your training to 5 hours after about a week. Guy added, beaming, and jogged back to his team. I'm this close to giving up on vengeance. Hinata mumbled. This. Close. You asked for it. Kakashi told them. No take-backs. Now please lie still for a moment, I need to draw a seal on you all. A seal? Naruto asked, naturally worried about such things. What seal? A training seal. Kakashi explained, twirling a paintbrush in his hands. Guy and Liu's waits, but that's not very elegant and tends to be pretty uneven in how it builds your muscle groups up. This, on the other hand, adds resistance every time you try to move, everywhere, like going through water. It also uses your own chakra to produce this effect, so it helps build up those reserves as well as your muscle. Wait, I've heard of this. Sasuke had recovered enough to be breathing normally. Itachi told me about it. Don't they use it to train Anbu? Because I'm pretty sure it's classed as a kinjutsu because of the possibilities for muscle damage, and you'll be fine. Kakashi interrupted. It has different levels of resistance. I'll leave you on level 1 rather than 3, which is what the Anbu generally use and is like swimming through mud. You're speaking from experience. Hinata perceived. Kakashi nodded. I was dog. And due to experience, I will not force you to use it while training with Guy, because that would be a terrible, terrible mistake. He trailed off, looking into the distance, before shuddering. Anyway. Get your tops off, I'll need to see your bare backs. Pervert. Weirdo. What are you reading in those orange books? Now, save your strength. Kakashi replied. When I'm done, my shadow clone is going to go through all the different jutsu categories with you to get a better idea of your capabilities, then over lunch we'll talk through mixed unit tactics and other important theory, then we'll move on to that tree walking we talked about, then I've changed my mind. Naruto looked numb. Guy's fine. You're a monster. Tora the Deplorable, also the Demon Brothers. Breezeball 1, this is Fox 1, please report. Naruto, what are you codenames, Greaseball? Naruto heard a sigh through the speaker. Greaseball 1 to Fox 1, where exactly did you get this radio system? That's simple, Greaseball. Naruto replied. I took my frog purse with all our D-rank pay to the fancy electronics store, aha. And then I stole the radios from Umbu headquarters. For fuck's sake, Naruto. Fox 1 to Bat 1, do we have eyes on the target? This is Bat 1 to Fox 1, at least Hinata was getting into things. The target is approximated 40 meters southwest of your position. Excellent. That's up, make a quarter turn left from your current heading. Greaseball 1 supplied. No, left. Naruto, you aren't this stupid. 3 figures darted across Konoha's rooftops. Their feet made nary a sound, their forms were blurs against the weak, early morning light. Their prey never saw them coming. Stealthy as, well, ninja, they converged in a dark alleyway, pinning their target against the wall. He looked back at the 3, and hissed. And so began a cacophony of shouts, bangs, and meows. Many years before. An 8-year-old Neji Hyuuga didn't look up as the door opened. Why would he? The view outside was prettier anyway. And he'd committed years ago to leaving his Byakugan on at all waking hours. He watched the sky while his 360 vision watched the man entering the room. Neji? Said the teacher, quietly. Yes, sensei. Neji acknowledged. I've come to discuss your unique situation. The teacher was off-put, as usual, by Neji's demeanor. In which you restrict my progress? Neji requested confirmation. Yes. Said the teacher, nervously. As a matter of fact, I have a solution. Does it have to do with the Uchiha waiting outside? Neji asked. He wished the man would get to the point. Yes, Neji. Itachi, would you come in here? Neji turned then to get a proper look at the boy who walked in. He knew Itachi. Everyone knew Itachi. In fact, Neji had always wanted to meet him. They seemed to have a lot in common. Both the same age, both wielders of a dojutsu, both genius sons of a powerful clan. But while Itachi was the heir to the Uchiha's leader, Neji was the son of the leader's younger brother. A branch family member. Suffice to say, one boy was not as well known as the other. Neji stared at him. Hello. Hello. Itachi stared back. Itachi's team has come upon some unexpected changes. The teacher explained. He needs a new teammate. And you need a team. What happened? Neji asked Itachi. We were ambushed. Itachi responded. My team is dead. Chunin exams are in 2 months and there are no vacancies on other teams for me. Neji looked him up and down. You are 8. As are you. Do you think you will pass? No. Neji knew it wasn't the pass part Itachi was denying. Do you know you will? Yes. The Hyuga tilted his head. Do you believe in fate, Uchiha Itachi? No. I believe in me. Itachi responded. Neji focused on the teacher, who was standing in an incredibly awkward manner. Do you have a third teammate for us? No. The man said. You would have to function as a 2-man team. Neji looked back at Itachi and smiled. I'm confident we'll manage. Present day, at the Hokage's office. That was a pie-in. Naruto groused, sucking the cuts on his fingers. And they call me a demon. If that cat didn't run away and give genin missions on a bi-weekly basis, I'd have scratched it back. Harder. Hinata looked up, concerned. Did it hurt you, Naruto? He grinned back at her. Nah, I'm a ninja. I'm not going to get taken down by a cat with an attitude problem. Given some Inuzuka I've seen, that might not be quite true. Chuckled the Hokage, smiling benignly at the 3. I have in fact heard what I'm sure are baseless rumors about where the daimyo's wife purchased Tora. In any case, congratulations on your 10th successful D-rank mission. I trust you aren't finding them too difficult? Sasuke's incredulous D-ranks? Difficult? Was overlaid atop Naruto's any morning we don't spend with Guy is an easy morning. Hinata nodded her own approval. The 3rd looked up. Kakashi? Their sensei was leaning against the corner of the room. "They're ready, Gramps." He agreed. "And they've been pestering me about getting a C rank since day 3. You believe it will be good for them?" the Hokage asked. "I believe they're going to get cabin fever if they don't get out soon. Konoha starts to look pretty small at their age." Hiruzen nodded slowly. "Very well. I believe I have just the thing." Naruto's eyes sparkled. "We're getting a C rank?" The third nodded. "There's a bridge builder named Tizuna who requires an escort to the Land of Wave, a small island near to our shores only accessible by boat, though I believe he intends to change that. Your job is to travel with him, protect him from any threats, and guard him while he completes his construction work. With Kakashi to protect you, there shouldn't be anything you can't handle. Not that I doubt your progress, of course." "Woo!" Naruto jumped up and cheered. "Actual ninja mission. Sasuke, are you excited?" "I guess." He shrugged. "Hinata?" "I am, Naruto." "Oh God, weeks in the wilderness with Naruto, yes, Kakashi, actually never mind. When do we start?" The third squinted down at his papers. "Let's see, yes, you have 35 minutes. After a few seconds of silence, the 3 genin sprinted out the door, leaving a smiling Hokage in their wake. They met Tizuna at the gates to Konoha. He was about what they had expected. "Ah, great. Children." The elderly man growled, taking a swig from a flask of alcohol. "I request ninja, and I get toddlers." Hinata's eyes flashed. "How dare he insult Naruto? You stand in the presence of a member of the Hyuga clan and her teammates. Show some respect, commoner." Tizuna looked down at her, noticing her eyes. "A Hyuga, huh? I suppose you're not so useless." "And I am the heir of the Uchiha," Sasuke said, beside her, not one to be outdone. "Same sentiment." Tizuna looked down at him. "Really? Aren't you supposed to have red eyes?" Sasuke blinked. "I haven't unlocked my Sharingan yet." Tizuna rolled his eyes. "Suyer, you haven't. Are you doubting my lineage?" Tizuna shrugged. "What's there to doubt? You son of a now, Sasuke." Kakashi put a hand on his shoulder. "Please do not swear at, nor murder our client." He looked up to Tizuna. "And I assure you, my genin are quite sufficient for your needs, and better than what you deserve for your pay. After all, it's not like we'll be up against ninja." "Right. Of course we won't," said Tizuna, not looking confident of that at all. The demon brothers waited. The jutsu that hid them in bodies of water was holding, and had for the past 2 hours. Patience was an important tool for a ninja, especially when setting up ambushes or scouting targets. Patience was a virtue, and they had it in spades. It was a virtue the genin walking up the road towards them did not appear to share. They veritably skipped around their sensei and their charge, not paying any attention at all to their surroundings. The aforementioned sensei would be more of a problem, but even he didn't look to have caught on to their presence. No matter how skilled he was in combat, he was still human. A knife to the head would kill a jonin just as easily as a civilian. The 2 missing nin decided in sync that the left one should make the first throw, and he palmed a kunai. That was when the group of 4 was obliterated in a fireball. Both brothers immediately leapt out of their respective puddles and dove sideways, hurling themselves to either side of the road. The hurry to escape the massive ball of death meant they weren't able to set up their spike chain, leaving them separated with nothing but their gauntlets. That was when they got jumped. A boy with black hair landed on the left brother's back and straightened his legs, slamming the man's body into the floor and probably breaking a few ribs. A girl with blue hair landed beneath the right brother in a split and struck out at his knee with a palm. That leg went numb, and the girl straightened as he fell and struck out once towards his temple. He fell unconscious immediately. "Yeah, that's fine," said a boy with blonde hair, approaching from further down the road with his sensei and escortee. "I'll just use my shadow clones as the diversion again." That was impressive. Tazuna allowed, as the group stopped to tie up the attackers. How did you manage to detect them? My Byakugan could see their chakra from well over 50 meters away. Hinata replied. Not to mention they were hidden in 2 puddles when it hasn't rained in weeks. Really? Said Naruto. That's awesome, Hinata. She blushed. Did you see that great fireball jutsu? Sasuke chipped in, casually. That was the signature technique of the Uchiha clan, right there. Tazuna shrugged. Don't you live in the land of fire? I doubt it's exclusive. You refuse to believe I'm from a great ninja family, don't you? Tazuna hummed, then shook his head. All right, that should do it. Kakashi spoke up. He tightened one last rope, then straightened, putting his hands together and muttering shadow clone jutsu. An identical copy appeared next to him and, without preamble, picked up the 2 hostages. Where did that come from? Tazuna asked, still unused to the concept of ninjutsu. Is it real? What's it doing? It's real enough to go drop these 2 off back in Leaf and cash the bounties in. Kakashi replied. Hinata looked at him. It will last that long? I gave it half my chakra and it uses that up moving. It'll last about a month if I leave it, but it'll probably dispel soon after getting back. Kakashi explained. It's well programmed enough to do that? Hinata asked. It's not programmed. It thinks. Their sensei replied. It's pretty much a carbon copy of me, but it blows up when you hit it. That sounds useful, which explains why Naruto uses it. Hinata mulled. Teach it to me. Maybe when we get to Wave. Kakashi replied. Now then. He turned on Tazuna, glaring. Care to explain why we just got attacked by 2 infamous Chunin-level missing nin? The bridge builder paled. What followed was a 10-minute explanation/tirade/pity bait about how some merchant lord was bankrupting his country, and was sufficiently cross about Tazuna's attempts at freedom to send assassins after him. If I can't get this bridge finished, he concluded, we're doomed. We've barely got any hope left. I can die, it doesn't matter. But if this bridge isn't built before you're repeating yourself. Kakashi supplied. Everything will be horrible, and my grandkids will be depressed, and my dead family will go unavenged, and puppies will be kicked. Which is why I had to lie about how dangerous it could be. I could barely afford you as it is. Tazuna finished. Vengeance is important. Sasuke empathized. Hinata nodded, solemnly. Aha! Said Kakashi. Those are very honorable reasons, and I applaud you. But you've dealt with us in good faith and put my genin in danger, so standard procedure says we're going to have to ditch you. What? Kakashi turned. His 3 students were looking at him with outraged expressions. Am I to understand you disagree? We can't give up because of a challenge. Sasuke growled. This is my first real mission. I won't go home and say it was a failure. I need to grow stronger. Hinata stated. This is a perfect opportunity to test my skills. Do any of you actually care about the sob story? Kakashi asked. Naruto tentatively raised his hand. The Jonin sighed. Really? You're all dead set on this? I, for one, am not abandoning the kickable puppies. Naruto admitted. Kakashi sighed again. I suppose, the fact that you finessed those 2 just now suggests they aren't really much stronger than what you'd expect for a mission like this. They cheered. Well, Naruto cheered, and the other 2 had self-satisfied looks on their faces. All right. Hinata, take point. We've still got another 3 days to go before we reach Wave. If you're determined to risk your lives, let's limit how long it takes, shall we? Hidden mist hiding in the mist with the hiding in the hidden mist technique. Neji ate dinner with his family. A 2-man team? Asked Hizashi. So they continue to try and limit your progress? He is still 4 whole years ahead of normal graduation, darling. said Hisashi's wife, smiling. Who's your partner, sweetie? Neji breathed in. Itachi Uchiha. Hisashi frowned. I see. Do you work together well? We haven't had much opportunity to test that yet. However, I think we can get along. He seems reasonable. Reasonable isn't the word I would use to describe setting the 9 tails on the village. Hisashi murmured, darkly. Itachi was 5 when it happened. Neji pointed out. I doubt he had a hand in it. This might actually be a good thing. Pointed out his mother. If he's being put together with Itachi, that must mean that the academy is taking him seriously. Hisashi nodded, thinking it through. That's a point. If you graduate to Chunin alongside or before Itachi, you will make waves amongst the ninja community. It will be hard for them to ignore you. Neji nodded. I appreciate the opportunity. Hisashi smiled at his son. Good. If you would like, I could step up your training? Neji shook his head. Sorry, father. I have been called into the main branch compound tonight. That ruined his father's mood. He absently scratched at the caged bird seal on his forehead. Oh. What does my dear brother want with you now? Perhaps to cripple you before you start? Hisashi. His wife swatted him. Neji shook his head. No, father. He blushed slightly. I'm babysitting Hinata this evening. Ah. I see. Itachi ate dinner with his family. A 2-man team? Asked Fugaku. They couldn't find 2 genin to put you with? There have been no other team losses since the last graduation. Itachi responded. And Neji is the only one ready to graduate right now. Neji Hyuuga? Fugaku gaped. And you agreed to this? Of course. Itachi replied. I understand that he represents the best to come out of their family this generation. I have no reason to believe we will quarrel. No quarrel? Scoffed Fugaku. They are only our biggest rival in the village. Itachi kept silent. His father sighed and palmed his forehead. There is no other? Father, even if I waited until next graduation, Itachi said carefully, I doubt anyone else would be able to keep up with me. Well, I think having a friendly rival would be good for Itachi, said his mother, brusquely. I know he has sure sway, but if he's going to be on a team with someone else, then it's important to be on fighting terms with them. Or so I understand. Ninja children are ridiculous, I swear. Well, I suppose. Fugaku aloud. You will, of course, not allow him to beat you, of course not. Itachi smiled. We start our first mission in a week. Is there any jutsu you think it's important to teach me before I go? Well, I could Mikoto snapped a finger up. If you're leaving in a week, then remember your other obligations, young man. Big brother's going away? A 3-year-old Sasuke blinked, looking up from his plastic plate. Itachi smiled at his younger brother. Not right now, Sasuke, don't worry. The boy smiled. They were a day out from Wave when Kakashi got killed. The only warning they got was a gasp from Hinata before there was a blur and Kakashi had been cut in 2 by a massive meat cleaver of a broadsword. It then turned out that Kakashi was actually a log, and the real Kakashi jumped out launching a kunai at the sword's wielder. Said swordsman took the kunai right in the side of the head, before disintegrating into a pool of water. Then the real swordsman, who none of the genin could even discern features of, he was that fast, came and bisected Kakashi again, only this time Kakashi popped and vanished completely. The swordsman, evidently tired of this game, jumped up to land on the branch of a nearby tree. Mouth covered by bandages, he turned to stare imperiously down at them. The demon of the mist, said the real Kakashi, probably, appearing beside his students. Momochi Zabuza. Or is it Zabuza Momochi? I can never remember Demon of the Mist? Naruto asked. Like the demon brothers we just beat up? Is this, like, their dad? No relation, replied Zabuza, in a grovelly voice. Though I'll thank you for putting them away, they were giving my moniker a bad rep. He focused on their jonin, and everyone felt the killing intent. Sharingan Kakashi. I've always wanted to meet you. Sharingan? Sasuke asked, confused. Ordinarily, I'd offer to let you surrender the civilian to me, Zabuza continued, ignoring the bridge builder's whimpering. But then you might agree and rob me of the chance to fight you, and I can't have that at all. I will allow your children to run away, if they want. Hey kids. Kakashi said, not looking back. You want to run away like scaredy cats? Nope. No thank you, sensei. They're all fine, thanks. Kakashi told Zabuza. The missing nin chuckled. Have it your way. He put his hands together. Hiding in the mist jutsu. And the mist came in. That'll be from the, hidden mist village, huh? Naruto quipped, nervously. He looked to his left, and Kakashi was gone. He gulped, head turning, but he could barely see his palm in front of his face. Naruto! His arm was grabbed, and he jerked away on principle, before realizing it was Hinata who had took hold of him. Veins bulged out from her eyes. I can see through it, she said. The Uchiha is with Tazuna, we need to move. She yanked, and Naruto followed. How can he find us in this? He asked. Kakashi's voice came out from the mist. He's a master of blind assassinations. He can track you by sound alone. That, at least, Naruto had a solution for. He grinned and slapped his hands together. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The clearing was filled with almost a dozen Naruto. They all then began screaming. Who can take a sunrise autoglass replace if you or your loved ones have been sold PPI that should make things harder for him? Naruto grinned at Hinata, though he immediately grimaced. Okay, I just lost one. Let's make this snappy, huh? He could almost make out the blush on Hinata's cheeks as she nodded and pulled him forwards again. When they reached Tazuna, Sasuke had just thrown a kunai through the hole in Zabuza's sword, taking him in the face, but he simply dissolved into a puddle. Water clones. Sasuke spat. At least 2 more of them. Hinata's the only one who can fight, we need to get rid of this mist. Can you great fireball it? Naruto asked. Sasuke snorted. And evaporate the rest of the water? Try again. Okay, Naruto growled, performing another shadow clone jutsu to replenish the dwindling supply. Anyone know any wind jutsu? I might know something. Hinata spoke up. Everyone get within a few meters of me. They acquiesced. She let out a breath and focused, getting into a strange-looking stance. Then began to move her feet as chakra was visibly expelled from all over her body. 8 trigrams, rotation, she called. A swirling blue dome of chakra surrounded her and her companions, blowing away all the mist in her nearby vicinity. Unfortunately, it also blew away everyone in her immediate vicinity. With startled shouts, her 2 teammates and Tazuna were bodily picked up and flung out the dome. Sasuke had the good sense to substitute with Tazuna mid-flight, so when a water clone swung at the man it instead found itself overextended against a much smaller target. Sasuke dodged and stabbed. Naruto grabbed Tazuna, who lacked all resistance at this point, and ran back to Hinata, who was preoccupied with her own water clone. I'm sorry, she was repeating, as she ducked under a massive sword swing. Naruto released Tazuna and flung a kunai in the clone's general direction. Said clone, not as capable of thought as a shadow variant, brought its sword up to block the knife, and wasn't prepared for Hinata reaching up to its face. The chakra burst was powerful enough to blow the construct's head off. I'm sorry. Hinata finished, panting. I had to learn that technique from books I didn't know it would. Hey, it's okay. Naruto reassured her. You got rid of the mist, at least. Most of the fog had been dispelled to the corners of the clearing. Any more water clones? Naruto asked her. She shook her head. No. Just the original, over with O. They all looked across to the body of water Zabuza had been conjuring his jutsu from. Zabuza stood there, on the water's surface, with Kakashi held in a water prison. This is a little embarrassing. The Jonin sighed. Well, you're alive. Zabuza remarked. I'm impressed. Now if you just wait 2 seconds while I kill your sensei, I'll get right to you. All right, team. Naruto told his teammates. We need to get our sensei free. I think if we try and do the thing we did against Kakashi, it might, guys. Tazuna blinked at him. Sasuke and Hinata were already gone. Great fireball jutsu! Yelled the former, aiming for Kakashi's water prison. 8 trigrams, 32 palms. Exclaimed the latter, beelining for Zabuza. The missing nin tched. Unable to stop both attacks with one hand occupied, he was forced to prioritize Hinata, and used his free hand to perform the seals for a simple water bullet jutsu. The projectile caught the jumping girl, sending her flying backwards, but the fireball still collided against Kakashi's prison. Water may do well against fire, but a good portion of the front of the barrier evaporated, letting Kakashi jump free. If the high-temperature steam bothered him, he didn't show it. Well done, kiddies. He told them, lightly stepping onto the water's surface. Let me handle this next part. Handle me, will you? Zabuza chuckled, darkly. What makes you think that will go better than it just did? Well said, Kakashi. He reached a hand up to his headband and lifted it, revealing a red iris with 3 comma-like dots in it. I guess you could say that I have an eye for such things. Sharingan Sasuke whispered to himself. What the fuck? What followed was genuinely creepy. Kakashi and Zabuza mirrored each other perfectly, going through a complex series of hand signs with identical rhythm and calling out Water Dragon Jutsu. At the exact same time. But Kakashi's dragon rose from the lake first. It smashed through Zabuza's technique and collided with him, snapping the mist ninja up in its jaws and ramming him into a tree on the shore. He sank to his knees. Kakashi was in front of him in an instant, pulling a kunai. Any last words? Asked the copy ninja, lazily. Zabuza coughed. Sure. Tell the 2 slow. Kakashi brought his kunai up. That was when 2 needles hit Zabuza in the neck. He stiffened and collapsed. Was that you? Naruto asked, tentatively. Another ninja dropped down from the tree-line. The genin took a step back. Thank you for your assistance, ninja of Konoha. It said, in an effeminate voice. The clothing it wore was unobtrusive, except for its white face mask that obscured all its features. 2 braids of hair fell over its shoulders. I was sent by Hidden Mist to retrieve the body of the traitor Zabuza. I trust you understand. We understand. Responded Kakashi, evenly. We do? Checked a confused Naruto. Clan secrets. Hinata explained. If a Hyuuga betrayed Leaf, Hunter Nin would be dispatched to make sure the secrets of the Byakugan weren't spread to other nations. She scowled. Of course, if a Hyuuga escaped who was too powerful to be captured, we wouldn't bother. The Hunter Nin had shouldered the ex-Zabuza. I will ensure your village is sent an appropriate sum for your assistance. Farewell. It said, before jumping up into the trees. Hinata, who had been staring at the body the whole time, let out a gasp. Sensei! Stop them! She was too late, the masked ninja had vanished into the trees. What's wrong? Asked Kakashi. I can see his chakra. Hinata exclaimed. I thought it was just residue, but he's still alive, sensei. A bird chirped in the distance. This time, it was Kakashi who swore. Wave was not a happy-looking place, and it was not a happy group that entered the village. Tazuna led the 4 ninja through dirty streets and alleys, past dilapidated houses and downturned faces. All 4 of the visitors, not to mention their guide, were soaked from the mist and water techniques. The kids were all bruised from being flung around by Hinata's rotation technique, and Kakashi seemed exhausted, barely able to continue walking. Tazuna looked very much like he'd suffered worse hardships before. Eventually, they came across a certain house that Tazuna walked up to, and he knocked twice on the door. It opened very slowly, and a face peeked through. "Grandpa!" The child rushed out and collided with Tazuna, crushing him in a hug. "Hey there, Inami." The old man chuckled. "Where's your mother, huh?" "She's inside." Inami replied, letting go, before noticing Team 7. "Grandpa? Who are these people?" "They are here to help us, Inami." Tazuna's face turned grim. "Now let's go inside. We and your mother have a lot to talk about." Dinner was a relatively simple affair. Despite Tazuna declaring it a feast in their honor for saving his life multiple times, the fare was minuscule, and Naruto barely had enough common decency not to complain about it. Tazuna had said they'd been hit hard by Gata's blockade, but he hadn't realized it was this hard. "So you fought demons?" asked Inari's mother, not very familiar with ninja. Ninja calling themselves demons. Kakashi replied, somehow eating without removing his mask. "Less horns, more swords." "Well, I think it all sounds very impressive," the woman said. "You think you'll be able to do it then? Keep Tazuna safe until the bridge is complete?" "Believe it," Naruto answered, grinning. Team 7 is the greatest genin team to come out of Konoha in years. Nothing Gata can send is gonna stop us. "You're wrong," came a mumble. It was Inari. "Nobody can beat Gatu. People have tried. They were all killed." "Kid." Sasuke started, but Inari burst out, "You're all crazy. People go out thinking they're heroes, and they all get killed. You're going to die too." Inari chastened his mother, but he'd already jumped down from the table and ran off into the house. The woman sighed. "Sorry about him. He lost his father to Gata's men, and he hasn't taken it well." She looked up to Tazuna. "Are you really sure they can do this? I mean, no offense, but we couldn't really afford Konoha's best. The little girl and the teacher are both from massively famous ninja clans." Tazuna explained. "I'm confident." Kakashi's not from a famous clan." Sasuke interceded. "I am." "Really?" said Tazuna. "Because it seems to me like he has the Sharingan and you don't." Sasuke paused. Opened his mouth. Closed it. Turned to Kakashi. "Are you going to correct him on this?" "Correct him on what?" Kakashi replied, perfectly innocently. "I think it's time you stopped pretending to be famous, Sasuke. The clever builder clearly hasn't fallen for it." Sasuke's jaw hit the floor. He didn't speak for the rest of the meal.
Thank you for your views, likes, subscriptions, and overall support of my ongoing efforts to bring great content to all of you. Check out my Patreon for more mature fanfiction. The link is in the description and like everywhere on my channel.